The young man skillfully slips out of the shackles, prompting one of the guards to panic, insisting they inform the chief warden that prisoner 1001 is loose. The other guard disagrees, confident they can recapture him if they work together. As Doroka gazes upon the prisoner, she discerns something peculiar about him. The man swiftly dispatches the 3 guards and advances towards the frightened girl, pleading for her safety. Seemingly firing at her, he simply proceeds onward. Through the camp's pass system, an announcement blares, alerting the staff that the barriers of blocks 1 and 6 have been compromised, signaling several inmates are attempting escape. Instructions are given to initiate countermeasures, emphasizing the gravity beyond mere drill procedures. At the National Department, ASN Director Yamato assigns a top-tier guard to assess the chaos unfolding in District 7 of the Mayhem internment camp. The director empowers him with the clearance to wield weaponry of Class 5 and above if necessary. The guard assures that he will uphold the Empire's tranquility with his formidable abilities. Yuki, the assistant director, stresses the ASN's role as the bastion of law and order. She insists on a more solemn defense of the peace ordained by the Emperor, to which the guard acknowledges with understanding. Yuki urges swiftness, yet his casual demeanor in front of the ASN leadership irks her. Despite her irritation, the director counsels Yuki to give the young man space. The guard, upon exiting, reveals his official uniform and is introduced to us as Ikhout, an operative from the capital's security division. Despite his youthful looks, the vice director's brother clarifies that Ikhout holds an executive status comparable to Yuki's within the Empire, advocating for his unique operational style. Elsewhere, at Mayhem's academy, the chief warden is shocked to discover the Vault of Sea's relics has been accessed. One guard offers a remorseful explanation that the fleeing girl mimicked his voice to bypass the biometric locks, an improbable feat given the warden's state-of-the-art Imperial phone security. The impossibility perplexes him, particularly since Doroka, who took his device, shouldn't have the clearance to unlock such a chamber, which houses an SS-level threat prisoner, the infamous apprentice of the witch, Adonis. Atop the building, Adonis invokes a potent spell named Gain, a written-style magic that ominously magnifies his projectiles, rendering them extraordinarily destructive. As Adonis' spell collides with a building, the surrounding populace is seized by terror, unable to grasp the unfolding chaos. Adonis, shrouded in his own dark intent, mutters about the annihilation of everyone around him. In the midst of the turmoil, Eckhart reports to his superiors that the fugitive is nowhere to be found within the camp's confines. Suddenly, news of the bombing reaches him, and he's instructed to evacuate immediately after dealing with those responsible for the havoc, the head jailer and his ineffective guards. Doroka collapses to her knees amidst the wreckage, blaming herself for the catastrophe, lamenting her failure to prevent Adonis' escape. In the city below, as the news of the building's destruction spreads through the media, the incident is quickly labeled a terrorist attack by foreign adversaries. Amidst his rampage, Adonis contemplates his next steps, realizing Chloe would disapprove of his vengeful path. He envisions her advising him to seek joy in life rather than retribution against those who ended hers. A bystander observes Adonis with scorn, noticing his self-conversation. Lost in thought, Adonis reflects on the decade-old tragedy that claimed Chloe, vowing never to forget her eyes, her voice, her final proclamation of love, a sentiment he echoes even now. Summoning a behemoth, Adonis incites panic, with the terrified citizens pleading for police intervention. A call to District 6's law enforcement warns of a giant in the city. Disbelieving, the officer demands the caller's identification. But their exchange is cut short by a vehicle crashing into the precinct. The driver, in shock, speaks of the monstrous sight he's witnessed, a sight the officer dismisses as a hallucination caused by narcotics, detaining him for safety. It's only when the officer himself witnesses the gargantuan creature that he grasps the gravity of the situation, prompting an urgent call to ASN for reinforcement. The robotic giant, guided by Adonis, lumbers towards Emperor Gove, bent on fulfilling Adonis' vengeful plot. Meanwhile, ASN scrambles to respond to this new adversary, a colossal automaton of mysterious provenance, and learns that its path is likely to take it through District 5, setting the stage for an imminent confrontation. The severity of the crisis becomes palpable as the local defenses prove futile against the monstrous entity. In urgent communication, the director inquires if the Queen has been briefed, only to learn that all attempts have been thwarted and Her Majesty's health is compromised. Without hesitation, the director proclaims a state of emergency, giving the command to fortify defensive Line 4 and to call in aerial fire support from any available squadrons. The guard's concern about ground forces prompts the director to deploy armored soldiers to the vulnerable points, preparing for a strategic engagement. Outside, as he scrutinizes the behemoth's advance, he speculates on its seemingly slow movements. Meanwhile, Yuki informs her brother of the missing boy and the redding quill from the internment facility, leading her to speculate the giant is fueled by magical forces. This revelation prompts the director to inquire about the magical photon suppression device, the dam, only to find it is a decade-old relic stored in the underground archives, with uncertain functionality. Yuki is tasked with the critical responsibility of operationalizing the device, an endeavor underscored by its national significance. As alarms blare, warning citizens of the emergency, they are urged to seek immediate safety. Defensive Line 4 is under orders to engage, but as they unleash their barrage, the projectiles swerve erratically, missing their colossal target. In a show of force, Adonis commands his robotic behemoth to obliterate another building, its debris raining down upon the enemy's armored units. We then delve into the genius that defines Adonis, revealing a decade spent in cerebral seclusion. Devising simulations and conducting scientific inquiry into the art of nation toppling through magic. This brand of magic, accessible only to non-wizards through written invocation, demands a deep understanding and meticulous systematization of magical mechanisms, translating them into mathematical formulae inscribed with a specialized pen, a technique mastered under Chloe's tutelage. For Adonis, the faces of today's populace blur indistinguishably with those of 10 years prior. In his eyes, they are collectively culpable for Chloe's demise, beneficiaries of the societal structure that sanctioned her killing. Summoning the Bell Bullet, a pair of gargantuan bazookas, Adonis prepares to rain down retribution. Declaring an eye for an eye resolution, overcome by the emotion of his impending vengeance, tears mix with a grim satisfaction. Amidst the chaos, Ikao contacts ASN with a crucial update. The sorcerer, Adonis, has been located in the palm of the rampaging Titan. The dire situation in the besieged city continues to escalate. The director confirms their primary adversary is indeed Adonis, the witch's apprentice, now recognized as a lifer, a term possibly denoting someone who has been sentenced for life, indicating the gravity of his perceived crimes. The aerial guards initiate their assault, but the onslaught is premature as the evacuation of civilians has not been completed, resulting in more tragedy and chaos on the ground. As buildings crumble, a young boy is orphaned and nearly crushed under the debris, saved by the swift intervention of the Roka, who is stricken with grief over the child's loss and the devastation around her. She implores a woman to take the boy to safety while she resolves to confront the giant, believing it is her duty to stop it. Meanwhile, Adonis, feeling the strain of his exertions, is a stark contrast to the serene scene within the sanctuary of the Imperial Castle, where Emperor Gove lies ill in bed. As he senses the turmoil outside, his wife attempts to comfort him, lauding the empire they have built. Despite his illness, Gove reflects on his accomplishments with pride, especially the eradication of witches, whom he saw as impediments to progress and independence. A downpour begins, which Gove's wife symbolically suggests will cleanse him of his long-held burdens. But the calm within the castle contrasts sharply with the storm raging outside, where ASN's forces are reeling from their losses. Adonis, fueled by vengeance, seizes one of the guards, filled with regret that the purge 10 years ago did not include him alongside the witch. Diroka's sudden plea interrupts Adonis' wrathful focus. Her familiarity to him as a fellow prisoner does not mitigate his anger. When she invokes the memory of Chloe, Adonis is visibly shaken, but his fury is not quelled. His laughter at Diroka's mention of innocence betrays a deep-seated bitterness and a resolve to see his revenge through. Adonis' reaction to Diroka's appeal that Chloe would disapprove of his actions reveals the complexity of his grief and the conflicting emotions that govern him. The grip on her shirt and his heated demand for her to stay out of his way highlight a pivotal moment of choice. Will he allow his rage to consume him completely? Or will there be a spark of his former self that can be awakened by the memories of Chloe's ideals? Diroka's courage to confront Adonis, despite knowing he considers her an enemy, shows her commitment to preventing further loss of life. Her words not only challenge Adonis' actions, but also seek to reach the part of him that loved Chloe, suggesting that her legacy could be one of peace rather than destruction. This confrontation is more than physical, it is a battle for Adonis' very soul. In a profound turn of events, Diroka reveals her identity as a witch to Adonis, shattering his belief that all witches were eradicated. The revelation that she and others survived the witch hunt provides a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness of his vendetta. Diroka's acknowledgement of their failure to save Chloe puts her at his mercy, yet she dares to speak of resurrection, a concept that momentarily destabilizes Adonis' resolve. Diroka's claim that they can bring Chloe back is met with skepticism, yet it's enough to make Adonis hesitate in his quest for revenge. This pause suggests that beneath his hardened exterior, the possibility of Chloe's return strikes a chord within him, hinting at his deeply buried desperation and perhaps a suppressed hope that not all was lost. As Diroka puts herself in a vulnerable position, ready to accept death at the hands of Adonis, she evokes an image akin to Chloe's memory in his mind. This powerful moment of emotional turmoil leads to Adonis' collapse, questioning the possibility of Chloe's return earnestly, suggesting that his motivations for revenge could be swayed by his lingering attachment to his mentor. Just as Adonis seems to be swayed by Daroca's words and considers the possibility of joining her, the tragic narrative takes another sharp turn. Lycaout, aiming to eliminate the threat posed by Adonis, shoots Daroca instead, an act that underscores the chaotic and frenzied state of the conflict where even potential resolutions are cut short by continuing violence. This act is likely to have significant repercussions. Adonis, already teetering on the edge between vengeance and the remnants of his former self, may interpret this as another betrayal by humanity, reinforcing his belief in their treachery. Lycaout's attempt to kill them both simultaneously could also reflect the Empire's stance on witches and their apprentices, that they are to be feared and eliminated, regardless of any possibility that they could contribute to the Empire's healing or advancement. In this tense and poignant moment, the narrative raises questions about the cycles of violence, the possibility of redemption, and the complexities of memory and loss. It also sets the stage for what could be a powerful transformation or a devastating continuation of the cycle of revenge. And this was another video. If you liked it and want more videos like this, subscribe, leave your like, and see you next time.